Hi everybody, it's Lynda Keane here again, and today I'm very honoured to have Mary Wykle all the way from America. So she's from Northern Virginia, just outside Washington DC, and Mary's been in the aquatic industry for quite a long time, I'll say. So grab yourselves a cup of tea or coffee or a glass of wine, whatever time of the day that you're watching these little chats, and sit back and enjoy my conversation with Mary. So hi, Mary.
Hi, Lynda.
And how are you doing?
I am fine.
Yeah. What's the weather like over there? Because we have weird weather.
It's probably in the low 60s, but it's sunny.
Oh, you're very lucky. We've had hailstones.
Sunshine is the important thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely need that at the moment. It'd be nice
Yes.
to get out, because I think we're sort of gradually, slowly coming out of lockdown over here. And next week we've got the next sort of phase of our lockdowns going. So are you guys in lockdown at the moment?
We're still in Virginia. We're still pretty much in lockdown, but we have to really move out of it more in the middle of June. So, you know, there's not too much going on. We're still in the house. Gradually, releasing the requirement to wear a mask everywhere. But, you know, when we go outside or we go in a store, anything, masks are still required, social distancing.
So what's happening? I know that you did a lot of research into sort of the safety of being in a pool. Are you wearing a mask in the pool still, or what's the?
That's the interesting question. I am truly a swimmer.
Yeah.
And that's where I am right now, except for my teaching for A.R.E.A.
Yeah.
But the pool that I belong to, actually I belong to two pools because we live two different places.
Nice.
We also live in Williamsburg, Virginia. And I can say that the pool that we go to here it's a private pool, but it's a 12-lane pool. And so it's huge. And the aquatic exercise they offer is very, very limited. And I used to run the program, but I quit that because there were some disagreements the way things were being done. I have to say it's, we think of it more as seeing a lot of senior citizens there, because we're not seeing young people coming to the water. They're still young people. And so that's a concern. And I have a lot of concern because of the instructors and their qualifications. And I will also say that the group of ladies that come we may have a few in their 60s, but most are in their 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And it should be therapy instead of exercise. And many of them have been coming, I know, for 20 years and will not accept any change to the way the exercises are done or what equipment is used. And so if you cannot progress a person, then I just, I can't agree with that. So, that's where I stand there. And at the pool in Williamsburg, they offer one class during the morning that often does not go, and they allow like 4 people in it. And then they have a class at 6:30 in the morning. I'm not up at that time, so I have no idea.
No, I wouldn't be teaching that one either.
My guess is it's not well attended. So we're not seeing a lot, but you asked about masking. Our pool opened midsummer because The director, the one that runs our pool, is very knowledgeable. And Terry Mitchell and I did a lot of research on the pool and COVID. And we know you're not going to spread it in the pool. And so we still have our standards. You wear your mask, you're checked into the pool in the entrance door, and you get ready. And when you get in the pool, you take your mask off. And then when you get out, most of the locker rooms are not available. So we put on something over our wet bathing suit, our mask on, and leave out the exit door. They're on opposite sides of the pool. But one person, not from the pool, did come down with COVID, which meant that they suggested that the ones doing the aquatic exercise wear a face mask. Well, the first thing that happened, I keep my eye on them to see what they're doing. And, you know, they were getting the mask wet. They could not breathe. So it really isn't recommended, because even though their head's up, they splash. One thing that's required now is that there's no movement in the pool from side to side. You're in one spot and you stay there. But I did notice that one of the older ladies today had a face shield on. And some are just overly cautious, and others, I call them, they always go to the very back of the class, and I call them the Mavericks, because they do what they want to do.
Yeah.
So, and everyone is required to bring their own equipment. So
that's a good idea. I think that, in fact, should be encouraged generally, because then you're going to keep it in better condition than
right
around the pool, like a lot of them do.
But I have no concern with being in a pool area, and I know more research has come out of England on disinfection time, and I think that's very important. So you know, and the people that come feel very secure coming to the pool.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've gone back in this week for the first time, and it's like in my happy place, and I'm very happy there. So
yes, you in England have been closed down in your pools for so long.
Yeah,
and it depends on where you live in the United States as to whether pools are open. I live in Northern Virginia, and most of our pools have been opened since midsummer or late fall. Whereas you go across the line into Washington, D.C., they are still closed. They're going to open this summer, which makes no sense at all.
No, and I can't understand. I mean, where I am, the last thing that seems to be going back is the therapy classes, and yet the people that do the therapy stuff are the people that need it. They haven't been able to go out for a walk or do the exercise that, you know, they're recommending that we do. They need their classes. They need that support of the water.
They do. And in Northern Virginia, we have very limited aquatic therapy.
Yeah.
Which is one of my concerns, because this area is concentrated on competitive swimming. They want to try and send swimmers to the Olympics. So that's what keeps our pools going.
Yeah. Of course, that's colder then as well. The temperature is much lower for the competitive.
Right, it's lower, but they keep the pool here at a very reasonable degree. In Williamsburg, they have like 2 pools, and they have one that's a warm water pool that used to be reserved 2 mornings a week for therapy, and they've discontinued aquatic therapy now, which is sad.
It's very sad, and especially I think now with the prospects of people with long COVID, I think they're going to need the pool. For that rehabilitation, they are going to need to come, get their balance, to get the walking. you know, I think it's even more important now than it's ever been.
I think it is too. And I've looked into, we've had discussions on how to take what we call the long haulers, the ones that symptoms continue for weeks and months,
yeah,
and into the pool, and the ones that have had respiratory issues, you know, what depth water should they be in, and what type of exercises, and how do we monitor them? So I think that's an area that needs a lot more research.
yeah, I quite agree. I think maybe A.R.E.A next year is going to be full of long COVID.
Right.
We don't know. But we've been talking about all this now, but we still don't know, haven't asked you how long you've been working in the pool. So you so much.
Way before you were born.
I don't think so.
I realized, thinking about it, I actually got committed to the pool and teaching in the pool in the 1970s. And that was because I was looking for a job, and the job that was open was to teach swimming at the college where we were living. And so I renewed certifications that I had, and I taught there, you know, for 3 years, and have just always continued with that. My early time up until the mid-90s was always with the American Red Cross. Mm-hmm. And since my husband was in the Army, we moved regularly. And I have to say that that was one reason I probably did not have jobs, paying jobs.
Yeah.
I was concentrated on volunteer work.
Yeah.
But it was always involving the pool. So I will say before it was 1968 to 1970 when we lived in England. That's the only time I have not been in a pool just to swim or enjoy. And I think I told you we lived in Felixstowe, which is near Ipswich.
Yeah.
And the one pool, when I would look in the front door, it was very dark. And I thought, no, I can't do that. But it was having, well, I have, we went there with an 18-month-old, and I came home with a 3-month-old too. It was born in England. So I was busy just being a mother.
Yeah. It's funny because being a mother is what brought me to the pool, because I was, you know, being England's an island, and we, you know, we want to go to the seaside, you want to go on holiday. And I thought,
right,
they learn to swim. So I actually came from being a chef, which was my job before, into swimming teacher. And that was the beginning of my journey, which is, you know, I'm still on, really. I think we're all on a journey for the whole of our lives. But finding the pool was definitely my homecoming, I think.
Well, I enjoyed it, and through the first and I have 3 sons. Through the first and the third pregnancies, I swam up until the time I gave birth.
Wow.
Second one was because we were in England and I didn't have a pool.
Yeah, the pools back then, I remember when I went to school, and it was around that time of learning to swim, and it was like breaking the ice.
Right.
And it was swallow the bumblebees and the leaves and everything that were in the pools. They were not very attractive places over here then.
No, they weren't. No.
I'm glad to say we have improved. So have you taught everything in the pool? I mean, you've taught swimming, you say. That, like, did you teach starting at all?
Swimming, I've taught synchronized swimming.
Oh, wow.
And then I I'm trying to think how I actually got, because we've lived overseas a lot.
Yeah.
So having been a physical education major, I needed a way to keep credentials current. And I found the easiest way to do it was through the Red Cross.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was with Red Cross. After we left the college, we were in Leavenworth, Kansas then, where I taught, and really enjoyed that. And then we moved to Carlisle, Pennsylvania for a year, where I became a ski instructor instead.
Oh.
I would
frozen water instead.
I would work skiing all day and then come home and swim at Dickinson College. And being at college, I'm not aware they had any aquatic. I think this is before Ruth invented aquatic exercise.
Yeah.
And then after that, we moved to Germany for 5 years. And the easiest thing for me to do was stay with Red Cross. And so I was very fortunate in that I was chairman of health and safety for the European area and the Mideast. And so I traveled all over Europe. My territory even included England. And so I would be back to England. And it was all teaching swimming, because no one was thinking about exercise. We did have adapted aquatics, and that's where my love first started to come in, because I would take the adapted aquatics and take it more to the musculoskeletal side, because I'd run into people who had broken their legs, a leg or something, and wanted to rehab, and I'd say the place to do it is the pool. And so I would take them. We had a wonderful facility in Germany the first 3 years at Lahnstuhl, and I would take them to the city pool and work with them there. And then as we moved on to Bad Kreuznach, I swam there, and that was really interesting because they had a line between the deep end and the shallow end. So I'd swim, dive under the line and onto it. And, but I also coached. I got into coaching then. So I've been a swim coach also. So you name it, I've done it.
Yeah. So did you, because you said that your husband was a military man, was that,
yes,
because I've done your Wounded Warrior program.
Right.
Is that where the sort of start of that happened?
Well, that happened about the time he retired. And that was the mid-90s. And we used Walter Reed for our medical care. And some of the doctors knew that I was very involved in aquatics. And so they saw the potential for me to get involved with the Wounded Warriors. So that was
to do that. That's one of my things.
It was one of these things. I had somebody that saw the opportunity, and I have to say they were orthopedic surgeons that saw this, and I would go in, and many times Marty Biondi would fly in, and we'd work with mainly amputees in the pool, and just loved it. And then when the head of physical therapy at Walter Reed became head of physical therapy for the entire Army, she called me in and said, we need an aquatic warrior program, and did a contract with me. And had me develop 2 programs. One that would be run for wounded warriors given by the therapists in the medical facility. And then one that would be general. So it was more like aquatic exercise.
Yeah.
And that was to be run by sergeants and the enlisted people within the wounded warrior units. But what we quickly found out was it was the same program.
Yeah.
And but those programs are still ongoing, and I still deeply believe in it. And one of the best things that happened was that the Marine Corps saw what we were doing and said, you know, we want this program. And so I got a contract with the Marine Corps, and they wanted every Marine to be trained in the program. It was mainly deep water running, interval training, plus it was using a lot of drag equipment for strength. And
we used the Aqualogics stuff, didn't we?
The Aqualogics, yes. And then I brought on Terry Mitchell to help me. We had a team, the aquatic therapist, the aquatic specialist for the Marine Corps is named Carrie with a K.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were the 3 of us, and we had to train Marines on every installation in the world. So we became really close, but we were known as the Carrie, Terry, and Mary team. Carrie happens to be 6 feet tall and young. Terry and I are about the same size.
Yeah.
Each other's clothes. And so the Marines would be there and they'd see these 3 women walk out and they'd say, what can they do? And so our goal was to, I can't say it on, make them realize that we really pushed them beyond their limits. And because they said, nobody told us what to expect. And they said, we didn't know we had to do synchronized swimming or what you women were going to do with us. So anyway, we did that. We had an absolutely wonderful time visiting all these places. We learned so much. I will give Terry credit in that she's the one that immediately noticed that Marines can go forward and backwards, but they can't go diagonal. You ask them to move on a diagonal and they have no idea how to do it because all they do is run.
Yeah.
The Marine Corps needed the program because they had so many injuries that the deployments back to Iraq and Afghanistan were becoming just back to back because Marines were not only being wounded, they were doing what I call stupid things like riding motorcycles or falling off trucks or doing anything. And so it was to find a way to get, to give them an alternative to stay fit.
Yeah.
And so the Marine Corps totally supported this, and they wanted them doing what they called HIIT, only it stands for high intensity interval training. It's different from the one that A.R.E.A. does. And on the other days, we did what we called, the Marine Corps calls it AMPIT, Aquatic Maximal, I can't think of the rest, interval training. And we came up with that because when we were in Okinawa, the general that was there came out to watch the program, and the chief of staff, and he said, what's the acronym? You know, the military lives on acronym. And we said, we don't have one. And then we realized we kept saying, amp it up, take it to a higher intensity. And so that's how we got the name Amp It. And you know, they loved the program. And I will say that we did use heart rate monitors on them so we could watch how high their heart rates were going. And we knew where they needed to be. And we were doing a lot of research type activity with that. And so that was one phase. And then after that sort of slowed down because I turned the program over to the Marine Corps, and it is still ongoing. Matter of fact, I'm reviewing the updates to it right now. But I got involved with PTSD and traumatic brain injuries through what we call the Intrepid Spirit Centers. And we have about 7 or 9 of those now in the United States. And they actually came to me because they said, we're trying yoga and some of these other, you know, mind-body activities on land, and we're not here having success, but we hear you have another program. And I said, yes, I.Chi. And so I worked with a physical therapist, and we instituted that program, and we had absolutely tremendous success with it. Because it was completely within the military, we could not release results, but I can tell you that reduced anxiety, reduced pain, reduced heart rates, reduced reliance on medications, and it's still ongoing. And of course, I've turned that over too, because you can't work forever for nothing. But it's exciting to see people still interested in these areas. So
yeah, I think that actually, especially with really the world beginning to come out of lockdown, or most of the world,
right,
the pools should be having I.Chi as a way of coming back, just to that.
You know, I do love I.Chi.
Really
and when you ask, what are my specialties? I have 2. One is I.Chi and the mind-body area, and the other is work them as hard as you can. My keyword is, don't worry, I can always do something more difficult. So I go.
I love it because like you are quite vertically challenged. I don't know. You're as you said, you're not 6 foot tall, but you come out. You know, you're blonde hair. You're very petite, and absolutely work their socks off. So I think that's absolutely brilliant. You know, you don't have to be sort of 20 years old to be.
No, and I just I love what I do, and that's why I do it. And
yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? So we have that passion. I think anybody that works in the water does it because it's just they have a passion for it.
Right. So
absolutely. So do you do other things as well as the I.Chi? Is it did you do a back care?
Yes, I do a lot of spine programs, all types of back issues. I am now, Ruth keeps challenging me with new ideas. And lately I've been doing a lot on cognitive issues and trauma in the brain, and doing anything that involves the brain and the problems that come with aging, with dementia, Alzheimer's disease, So you name it, I'm doing that. I think one of the things that I've been known for is something called Piyochi. It is trademarked, and AEA, I gave AEA permission to use it, and I also gave Katrine permission to use it in Europe. But it stands for Pilates, Yoga, and I Chi.
I have the book. It's on my shelf.
So I still really believe in that. And I keep doing different types of combos and adding more balance work to it, because we have to work. Balance is the basis of everything we do. And if you don't have that balance, we can't progress. So I'm doing that, but you know, we have the A.R.E.A symposium coming up. The first.
I know, I should have been there. I'm so sad that I won't be there.
It's going to be, well, it's exciting because not that many of us are teaching. And so in the 4 days, I'm teaching 5 courses.
Wow.
And they're all different. So
that's a lot of remembering.
The last one I'm teaching is on spine innovation, which is really interesting because of all the new techniques that are coming out for dealing with spinal issues.
I wish I was there for that, because the hospital that I work, that's associated with where I work, they are the top spinal injury hospital in the UK.
Right.
I see a lot of spinal surgeries.
Right. And what they're getting into is augmented reality and artificial intelligence, so that anytime a fusion is done, the screws and the rods are placed exactly, which is such an advancement, and the surgery is much more minimal. So I am not only connected with AEA, A.R.E.A, and I do a lot of work with Walter Reed and their spine patients in mentoring them. But the National Spine Health Foundation is getting ready to add me into, as they redo their website, I will be the advocate for the spine. So it's really exciting. And as I say, I'm trying to step back.
Like it very much to me.
I think I'm going more into a mentoring mode than the act of teaching. I am happy to go out, you know, like I will be teaching at 3 or 4 different locations this fall, and I'm teaching things like cognition and aging, and then trauma tracks in the body.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Which is really interesting, and I'm reading a great book on that right now. But you know, these are things that keep me interested and involved, and I would rather do that than say, okay, I will come teach for you from 8 to 9 o'clock every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah.
That's not where I am now. I want to have the freedom to say no.
Yes, and to do the things that you enjoy, you know, to carry on with your research, because obviously that's such a massive part of you, really, because you've been.
Well, I love research, and that probably started, you know, when I did my doctorate. And had to do a lot of research for that. And when I did that right before my husband retired from the Army, because I saw that just a master's degree was not getting me to the point where I wanted to be.
Yeah, I'm there. I know what you're saying, Mary, because I'm exactly in that spot.
And so
I did the masters thinking it would get you
I had
there.
it all planned out. I said, my dissertation will be on one of these two areas. And it ended up, it was on women's compliance to exercise.
Mhm.
And I was really looking at what age do women believe that they need to start taking care of their bodies.
And what age did you find?
The 40s.
Yeah.
And it was because they were beginning to see their mothers not able to do things, and they realized that they needed to take better care of themselves. And so, you know, I did my residency and everything, and we had a great time because I worked with a psychology person at the hospital and also with physical therapy. And so we had a program in place and put them through that. It was actually called TOUGH, Turn Unwanted Fat into Fitness.
Another.
I'm not nearly as creative as Terry Mitchell is, you know, because AMPIT is a Marine Corps program. We cannot use AMPIT commercially. And so Terry came up with Fired Up. And don't ask me, fun, intense intervals, deep water, you know, it has a whole meaning.
Yeah.
She's so creative with these acronyms. So we find these, and this is what makes it so exciting to be in the pool. This morning, I sort of, my shoulder was sort of bothering me. So I spent 45 minutes doing deep water interval running, which was wonderful. And I enjoy that as much as I do swimming. You know, there are so many things that you can do if you're willing to keep your mind open and try them. And when you see a group of ladies that will not accept change to an exercise program, you do not see any change in them. And so that's the reason I really like to go out and do research, go out and train other therapists. And if I get a chance when I work with warriors, I do enjoy, the wounded warriors are the greatest guys in the world. And when you see the extent of injuries, it is horrifying, but they are so positive. And where they find peace is in the pool.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so that's, you know, I stay with that. And as new equipment comes out, I love to try new equipment. I will always love Aquatics.
Yeah.
And I tried Katrine and Jenny Lynn, and I did the Hydro Revolution training program for A.E.A. I never quite mastered Aqua Strength, but I love the variety that you can do with Aqualogics. Yeah. So I stay with that. And now we have another new piece of equipment that's coming out this summer, and it's called the Aqua Blast. And it's going to be demonstrated at IAFC in June, but it's a punching bag in the pool. And it's different from the one that Hydro Rider has, because it's not on a stand.
Oh, wow.
And so the original idea was to have a harness and have it in front of you. And they've now, we're working with a company in Germany that has a section so that we can suction a tether to the bottom of the pool, and we can adjust it for the depth of the water and what needs to be done. And you can punch and do all types of activities, and it springs right back to you.
That's amazing.
This is one of the biggest programs on land for Parkinson's disease. It's called Rock Steady Boxing. And so this is the perfect piece to take into the pool and replicate that boxing program. It helps with their agility, their movement, their coordination. So, you know, aquatic area is always evolving.
Absolutely.
I
mean, it's from the days when they used to use washing up liquid bottles or drinks bottles.
Right,
Or,
milk jugs.
Yeah, milk jugs. I mean, they were horrendous times, really, because how can you compete with a gym, or how can you compete with any kind of land exercise if that's what they give you in the pool? That, you know,
Right.
You need like for like, don't you? So that sounds amazing, that piece of kit.
So, you know, there's always something new coming out. There's also something called the Aqua Boy, B-U-O-Y. That's almost like, I don't even know how to explain it, but you step into it and it fastens around your waist and provides flotation. But
like the wet vest.
Do
you remember the wet vest? A bit like that.
Yes.
Happy.
Yes. But Terry loves, she has some videos doing exercises with her Aqua Boy on. And they now are doing it in a camouflage because the Marine Corps has found it is the only flotation device that will keep these overly muscular Marines at the right position in the deep water. So
they don't want the belts on, do they? I mean, the men don't.
You know, we've used the belts on many of them. We had to put 2 belts.
Yeah.
When we first started, and we didn't have enough belts, you know, we'd put 1 belt on, and then some of these little foam bubbles that you would attach to a baby, we'd attach those to the belt. You know, we did all kinds of crazy things trying to find belts that would actually support the muscular Marines, because I can tell you they are really strong.
Yeah.
And the biggest joy is seeing you take them down.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more.
So
do you prefer like working with people one-to-one, or do you prefer the big groups? I mean, I guess I'd say the big groups, but things change.
I will say I really prefer one-to-one.
You do?
And if I have a group, I only want 4 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I am a real stickler, very specific on correct execution.
Yeah, quality
exercises that we're doing.
Yeah.
And I know I have one course coming up in June that has 26 in it. There's no way that I can make sure that everyone is doing the exercises correctly. And if you don't do them correctly, you get no benefit from them. So that's why I say I like 1-to-1, maybe 1-to-4. So that's just my preference. When you get into the large groups, you get a lot of socializing. You get people doing their own thing. There's a lot that goes on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then you get the ones that sort of, like you call your back row the Mavericks, I call them the tea and biscuit brigade, because they really do the exercise. They're just there for the tea and biscuits afterwards.
Right.
So what do you think's been your biggest challenge during your career?
The biggest challenge, finding a pool that I like.
Actually, yeah, I'll agree with that. That is a challenge, and one that's got the right temperature as well.
One that has the right temperature of water. People are friendly.
Yeah.
And they obey the rules, but they do not go overboard in enforcing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's a good thing. And what do you think is like the most amusing thing that's happened to you? What sort of what's one of your funny stories?
one of my funny stories. Okay, I'll tell you the funniest one. I was teaching an aquatic exercise class, and the pool, the water was 3.5 feet to 4 feet deep. And I had one lady, they were riding a noodle, you know, like a horse stuck between their legs. I'm very big on safety also. And, you know, I had them pedaling, you know, around on that noodle. And this lady tried to adjust her noodle and fell forward off of it. She's in 3.5 feet of water and she's trying to swim to the bottom of the pool because she's absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
We had a no good lifeguard right there. Then, so I had a coffee for a social group to go to after this class. And so I had my hair done, my makeup on, and obviously I had to jump in and get her back up to her feet, which was difficult because she had oiled her body.
Oh no, yes.
Kept slipping off, and I finally got her up and I was soaking wet by then. And so I had to go to the coffee wet. And the next day, the lady, well, she's a dear friend, that hosted the coffee said, you know, the funniest thing happened. My cleaning lady came and said, you know, I've started doing aquatic exercise and I almost drowned yesterday and the instructor had to save me. And it was me that had saved her housekeeper. And, that was one of the funniest things. And I'll tell you one that was not pleasant. It had a fine outcome, but I was teaching aquatic exercise. I taught for 15 years in college once we got back to this area, and taught some aquatic exercise classes there. And I had, I regularly went in to save these students because they had no idea. And one that I got out onto the deck, and he was on his back. He was fine, he was awake. And the lifeguard never came over. And afterwards, I said to the lifeguard, didn't you see there was a problem, a major problem? He said, yeah, but you could take care of it. You know, you cannot lifeguard and teach at the same time.
No, I think that's I get very frustrated on that. The places that don't have a lifeguard and say, oh, you're lifeguard qualified, you can lifeguard your
right.
own.
No, you can't. But most of our therapists or your physiotherapists,
your
physios, probably do not get adequate safety training.
No.
One thing in the medical facilities where I've done training, I've made sure that they understand that I do prefer the therapist in the pool.
Yeah.
And
I think bad manners, especially because, you know, you're up standing on the pool side and they're
right.
So they're in line with your tone.
Right. And they're always out of position because they're looking up.
Yeah, that's humiliating as well.
But even if the therapist is out, you need a second person. if someone goes into a seizure, you've got to have help to get that person out of the pool immediately.
Mm.
And it's also up to the physio or the therapist to determine if the person is appropriate to go in the pool. What are your contradictions? What are your precautions? You know, and you may have to educate the doctors.
Absolutely. We had an incident, you know, I can't tell whether it was last year or the year before, but we had an incident. And because the pool I work at does specialize in hypermobility, which is where one of my, you know, part of my interest came from in the hypermobility. And this group of people came into the pool and they all had POTS. And we had a brand new lifeguard who was starting that very day.
Oh.
5 of these ladies all collapsed before they even, well, one collapsed because we've got a wheelchair ramp. One collapsed on the ramp, one collapsed outside the ramp, collapsed at the bottom, and one collapsed around the side. All of them just went out like that. And did you tell the lifeguard about this condition and what the potential is? And they said, no. I thought this poor girl just didn't know which way to run and what way to.
Right.
Yes, they might have had control of it, but you know, you need to tell the people that are there, if you're going to have this kind of person come into the pool, what
you do, and you don't have to go in depth, because you probably have the same type of pool. We call it HIPAA, and it protects our personal medical history, so it can't be shared. But the lifeguard needs to know, keep an eye on this person because they're prone to seizures. They don't need to know why.
Yeah.
You need to keep your eye on this one because they have COPD.
Yeah.
We may have to get them to shallow water. They need to know just enough to be aware.
Absolutely.
So,
so yeah, no, very important. So
right.
So okay, so I think we've covered quite a lot, but there's one really important question left.
Okay.
Not that I think you'll ever retire, especially by what you've said, but if you are to retire, then what would you want to be remembered for? What would you hope would be your legacy for the industry?
For the industry, that is a tough question. You are right, retirement is not in my vocabulary. Coming back is what I say.
Yeah.
What do I want to be remembered for is, I'm trying to think how to promote and bring a new generation into the love of teaching and getting certified, trained, and doing research, so that the legacy and the importance of the pool continues on. And this goes for A.E.A. and A.R.E.A. I am still seeing it as an aging institution, and we need young people to be involved, so that some of us can step back. As you know, Ruth has announced she's stepping back, sort of like I am. We intend to write, we intend to do some teaching, but to mentor and know that in the roles that I'm taking on now, I'm doing a lot, besides the scattered teaching I do, I'm doing a lot of mentoring, and it's helping. That's what I want to be remembered for, is that I helped make a difference in the aquatic world. And I've gotten every recognition I can possibly get. There are no more available. And so I just love what I do, but it's time to turn it over to the younger generation because that's going to draw in younger people to the industry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, you know, in the same way, I'm sort of trying to do similar things over here in the UK to actually bring sort of younger blood in and to actually show them that it's a really diverse industry. It's not just a swimming teacher. Oh,
No.
okay. So I think, you know, that's what I'm trying to do, is to bring about that it's not just about swimming teaching. It's not just about having the physiotherapists in the pool. It's not even just about synchronized swimming. That you can blend and you can merge, and you can make it a career that actually molds and develops through time.
You can, and we do like to spend time in Europe. You know, that's like our second home, or maybe I should say our third home. And we have some dear friends that still live that we stay in touch with. And we're anxious to get back to visit them, because in this past year, he's had a heart attack. So how was he helped? Bernadette, who I've been very close to, we would always go to Trademarked, to the pool there, and because our husbands would be working together. Yeah. And at that time, she had quite severe arthritis, but since then she has now been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And so I would like to get back, because Trademarked has warm water pools, and inside and outside connected, and a beautiful setting. And the vineyards are coming down to the edge of the, you know, it's just, we enjoy the pool together. And she was always wanting me to do Chi with her and different things that I think that we have so much throughout the entire world. Okay, so that's basically my story. I've been around too long.
No, never too long.
And I will say that it's through the Red Cross and A.R.E.A. and then A.E.A. and competitive swimming has blended them all together into the most wonderful occupation or joy in life that I could possibly have.
Oh, that's brilliant. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Well, I think we've chatted a lot about your life and your journey, and hopefully that everybody's enjoyed listening to it. And it's been a fantastic career. I think everyone will agree with that. And I'm so pleased that you have no intention on retiring at all. You have sparked off so many things in my thoughts that actually I'll probably be sending you an email after this.
Okay.
I've had some thoughts.
And when we get back to England, maybe we can get together.
It would be lovely, yes, because I think you'd like it at the pool that I work at. It's
right.
So that's the other thing. It's warm water, but it'll be very interesting. So,
right. Okay.
Yeah, lovely.
Well, thank you so much, Lynda.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mary. Enjoy the rest of your day, because it's only halfway through for you.
Right.
The early evening for us. So sorry that I'm not going to be there at A.R.E.A. and over there. I don't think we'll get there this year.
No.
Yeah, unfortunately. So hopefully that we'll see each other in flesh, if over, right, or that you come to the UK.
Right. Okay.
Right. So thank you very much.
Thank you.